Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Geeking Out podcast. I am the Athletic Geek, and my guest this week is probably one of the more interesting guests that I've been able to agree to be on the show. Uh, Found some of the work and his work, and I'm just really, really intrigued and enamored with this character, and I'm very excited to talk about it with him. My guest this week is pro wrestler Otis Crowley. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey man, thanks for having me.
So my question for all my wrestling guests is: were you a fan of pro wrestling growing up, and what is it that made you a fan of pro
Yeah,
wrestling growing up?
yes, I'm a huge fan of wrestling growing up. I'm from the Memphis, Tennessee area, and we had the studio Memphis Jerry Lawler wrestling that was on every Saturday mornings. And my grandfather, basically my grandparents raised us when we were small children, me, my brother, my sister, and a few other family members. And every Saturday morning we would watch cartoons. And then the Memphis Wrestling would show on air, and that's the only way to get us, pretty much glued to the TV is watching wrestling. A bunch of little boys fighting, playing over action figures and GI Joes. But when we saw the wrestlers, we were intrigued and captivated by it. And for the whole entire hour, we were glued to it. And after we watched this wrestling on TV, we we wrestled each other because we thought we were the Jerry Lawlers and the Bill Dundees and all the Memphis legends. We were, acting as these wrestlers, and it was just glued since.
So you mentioned you grew up in Memphis, and the Memphis territory is rather legendary. Because of the names you mentioned, your Jerry Lawler, your Bill Dundee, and it's rather legendary for all those studio tapings in the Mid South Coliseum and all the lore that comes with wrestling in Memphis. Were you ever lucky enough to be able to attend a Mid South Coliseum show? Were you ever blessed enough to be able to attend one of the TV tapings? And if so, what is it like to be able to feel the king in Memphis in that crowd?
Yeah, so I'm like, I was born in '88, so towards the early '90s, that's when that Vince McMahon started get pulling people from the territories, pretty much from the Memphis area, and Memphis wrestling on TV was basically a territory to develop new stars. We had The Rock. He basically made his grind in Memphis. Stone Cold, even Kurt Angle. Around that time, we was maybe middle school age, and we couldn't get the tickets in time because they always sell out on studios taping. But they finally had a few shows at the Coliseum when they had their big pay-per-views, their big sellout, angles that they were trying to sell out to the crowds, and we saw a few of those during the times that the Coliseum was about to shut down. So we did see the aura of the Coliseum Monday nights they had in the '80s. They actually had it for us to watch and witness. It wasn't as big as it was because wrestling started to, I guess, die out during the early 2000s of Memphis wrestling because there's so many shows that were kind of be there around to I guess to help support Memphis wrestling because after the deal with the middle stuff kind of faded out, Memphis wrestling started to die down, and you started seeing more like outlaw shows. So,
Right.
but I experienced the costume thing, and it was very, very I guess nostalgic because I had my family that used to grow up in the '70s and '80s and watch it. So it was a nice feeling to see it. And once I saw the atmosphere and just the feeling, like I have to, I want to do this. And yeah, it was definitely a great experience and time seeing it.
That's awesome. That's like one of all the things as a wrestling fan, I wish I could go back and see Mid South Coliseum or the Omni. Those are kind of like my and being around St. Louis wrestling at the Chase. Those are like my top three that I wish I could have been
Oh
part of.
yeah.
But so you born in the Memphis area, Jerry Lawler's the king. When did you get it in your head that you wanted to make a career out of pro wrestling?
So me and my buddies in high school, we were started getting to the attitude era and started going to the I guess the attitude adjustment area with John Cena and stuff. Uh, DX was a big thing for us growing up. So was the NWO when they had the Monday Night Wars. Where I was hooked in on that. I would watch the Luchadors work the first hour, and I'll switch over to Raw because it's
Right.
like the edgier stuff, and it was cool. But then the old school guys that used to watch wrestling, they would watch the dream matches, the Macho Mans versus the Ric Flairs, the Stings versus the Hogans, and it's a mix of everything. But I was more leaning to the new edgier stuff on Raw. And I guess in high school we had a group of friends that were big wrestling fans as well, and in study hall in our small town of because I live in Bahia, Mississippi. It's very small, and we have a small high school, and we had a group of friends that were hanging out, and we just started doing wrestling maneuvers on each other in the bleachers and on the in the gymnasium, and then in the study hall we'll just have an impromptu wrestling match, and it was weird because the our peers would just sit there and watch and cheer us on, and the teachers, they just, I guess, knew that we were so good of friends. They, tell us to stop, horse playing, but they were still intrigued on seeing what we would do next in this thing. And yeah, I guess the attention that we got from, the peers from high school, it led to, watching pay-per-views at friends' house. ECW One Night Stand is really what kind of guys wanting to do things. And yeah, watching the ECW One Night Stand in my one of our best friends' living room, we decided to throw a impromptu match while the pay-per-view was going on, and all the people that were there for the get together, we they just watched us beat the crap out of each other, and then we focused that from the living room went to the backyard. That's when we started doing more of the glorified stunts, so you speak, and started to dabble in the thumbtacks, the light tubes, the barbed wire, the fire, everything else in between. So we started to get more of the hardcore feel to it, and it just progressed throughout the high school years of us going to get-togethers and high school parties that everybody would be dancing and partying and having their good time, and we'll just basically like start a fight with our friends and it lead into like a wrestling match. Like we try to make it as real, and I guess you call it kayfabe, where we were going to fight each other, but actually we are doing wrestling moves. And it got to a point where it got kind of big in our area. Like, oh, bring these guys, they'll fight each other and do wrestling and stuff like that. So it was like a therapy thing for us too.
Okay.
Like it's like, man, school sucked this week, and that's that. I need to do a big stunt in our match. You think we can do this? Can we do it safely and not get hurt? Yeah, sure. And then we'll go out there and wrestle and do the little stunts that we want to do, and we basically kind of taught ourselves like almost the fundamentals of a actual match, but we still had no clue how to, I guess, wrestle. So that was our high school days, were wrestling in the backyard.
So you did backyard wrestling. Did you do anything else like as part of in your days in high school? Anything athletic or performance based, like drama club or playing a band or anything that would maybe in kind of a way prepare you for what would be to come through uh, wrestling training later on?
Yeah, we had to take PE. It's like a mandatory thing for us in our school. You had to take PE, and I was doing it for like recreational. I never took up the actual sport, but I always played, and I was pretty athletic. Uh, Me and my brother, he's a active wrestler right now. He's Jackson Crowley. Uh, Me and him, we both took PE together, and we just did that. We took drama class too in the same period. So me and him were always cutting jokes or doing stunts in the room when we had to do a scene or a play. We always try to incorporate a wrestling lingo or wrestling stunt to, I guess, get the crowd, the peers and the teachers involved in our skit. So we was pretty good at acting, I guess, so to speak. We were trying to be more of the comedians and doing the stunts on that standpoint. And then when it comes to like sports, we just did recreational with friends and just peers. We never try to take up on actual athletic sports teams.
Right. Um. So when did you and your brother and everybody decide? Okay, let's do this. Let's not just do this at parties, and let's not just do stunts. Let's get trained and let's make a career out of this. What age were you, or what year in school were you when this happened? And then subsequently, where did you go to train?
All right, so around our senior year, they had an independent show out in our middle school, and I wasn't familiar of independent wrestling or independent shows at all. I just figured, these guys went from like the territorials, like from Memphis to wherever it is, and they just got brought up to TV. I didn't know there actually was a legit, independent circuit, and they had a flyer out for a outlaw show out in our middle school, and we went there super early just because we were big fans of wrestling, and we was trying to like just get the grasp of everything. So we was there, we watched the show and stuff like that, and being not trained to the business, whatever, we was like, oh, we can do better than that. We can do this. While they're doing this, like we don't see the flashy, flips and stuff like that. We were so based on the Mexican lucha wrestling to the hardcore wrestling. So we want to see something that would pop us in wrestling, not the long draw build of a story or whatever they were doing in the ring. And after the show of that night, we asked the promoter and booker, could we jump in the ring and just to play in the ring, whatever, because a lot of fans were doing it, and we just asked, could we go in there? He said, yeah, sure, no problem. When we got in there, me, my brother, and a few friends, we were all just taking bumps out of nowhere. So I was like, oh, this is like a trampoline. Let me just give my brother a drop kick, and I gave my brother a drop kick, and as soon as I hit the mat, and it knocked the breath out of me, and I was like, this is not a trampoline. Holy crap. And so we were, just doing, these spots that we used to run in the backyard into the ring. And after taking that breath out of me, I kind of got used to it after the few minutes I was there. And the promoter and booker saw us doing these, crazy luchador flip spots and bumps. And it's like, who trained y'all? And it's like, nobody. We just looked on, TV and YouTube and whatnot, and we just, practiced in the backyard. And he said they were shocked. It's like, you did this on the like hard ground and whatnot. It's like, yeah. They're just like mind blown. It's like, come tomorrow, we'll work out with you guys, and we'll go from there. And so we went there the next day. We started, just doing some small little drills that the guys knew. We didn't know how to lock up. We didn't know how to do any kind of chain holds, reversals. We just knew to do the high spots,
Right.
the flashy stuff. And within like 1 or 2 hours of just bumping and hitting the ropes and stuff like that, it was fun. We was addicted. And the guy, he ran a couple shows, same spot, and he eventually got out of the business of, so to speak, because he wasn't getting enough fan base or crowd to come in to watch the show. He finally threw us a bone because after 2 or 3 shows, I ref a few matches and stuff like that, and he actually threw me and my friends in a match together with some of the guys that was on the card, and we had our first match in front of like 30 people, and I think 20 of them were like friends and family, because we said, hey, we're actually booked on a show, an actual ring, and people are paid to watch us. So we had a bunch of family and friends cheering us on while we didn't know what we was doing, and it was cool. It was great. And we was trying to get more experience and more stuff. MySpace was a big thing back then.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, Yeah, I always say I'm still Tom's best friend. I never deleted him or unfriended him. He's still my friend. So
Well, I'm not trying to get no socially, but Tom didn't censor what posts you made. And I mean, there are some posts that don't need to be made in social media, but it is true. Tom just lets you post whatever you want.
yeah,
Tom lets you listen to music. Um, I'm not condoning any sort of like truly awful things people post on social media these days, but Tom didn't care. Tom didn't let you get attacked by a bunch of people who are like, I cannot believe that you said you like this wrestler. Are you dumb? He didn't let that kind
yeah,
of,
yeah. There's never no fact checks here. So yeah. If I should make a T-shirt that I'm a Tom guy instead of Mark Zuckerberg. Uh, so yeah, so MySpace came around, and the guys that were on the show in the Bahia thing, we I noticed who they were just by the promo pictures. So I hit up the promoter, and the guy was from like New Albany, which is like 45 minutes from where we stayed at. And I was giving him this whole big speech saying like, "Hey, we were trained for whatever, and we want to do business with this person. Can you give us a shot? We'll do this and we'll do that, helping hands, And he actually responded because a lot of guys they just say, hey, we got a core people here we're gonna work on. We're not want to use you, or we want X amount of money up front to train you and stuff. And me knowing, and I say that I don't know in the business at the time, I was like kind of skeptical on it because I didn't know who these guys were. Are they like legit trainers or notable trainers? So I was going in blind, and I didn't want to like pay out money for guys that I didn't know who they were. So I had this guy from Albany. He agreed to look at us. We gave him like our promo pictures, whatever, and he's like, all right, well, be at this show at this set time and help set up the ring. Basically, they needed some guys to help set up the ring for the most part and just help around during show day. And then since we offered to help, they're more obliged to work with us and I guess try to teach us some things. There's a guy named Sarge O'Reilly. I don't know if you've ever heard of the guy. He used to do a lot of Memphis tapings as an enhancement guy. He's really, really, really good. He was the booker at the time for this wrestling promotion, and we hit him up, and we went to the show. Before the show, we set up the ring and stuff, and we met a few guys that were on the card. Brandon Barbed. I don't know if you've ever heard of him or not.
I've heard
Uh,
of Caleb told me about him.
yeah, he's really good. He's very underrated. He does a lot of stuff in Missouri for Cape Championship Wrestling. Before Cape, he did a lot of stuff in the Mississippi, Memphis area. Before I guess he started doing his stuff in Missouri. But he had a lot of help in training me and my brother and a friend of ours. And yeah, he's what the initial thing was like, hey, we're backyarders, we're here to train, and stuff like that. And I come to find out, if you say you're a backyarder, a lot of people doesn't like the fact that you're a backyarder because they think that they just think ill will of you.
Right.
So the whole time we were trading is basically giving us like high impact bumps, like the back body drops, the spine busters, whatever, something to basically for us to whiplash or make us leave and not actual train. And I caught wind of it, but we never whiplashed our head because we never did none of that. We just took it and got up. What do you have next? And whatever did that scare us off. We had a dark match that night as well, and they were trying to teach us how to lock up, how to use small chain reversals, and trying to try to be our agents for that match to make it go well. And me, my brother, and a friend of ours, we were in triple threat, and it was awful. So bad, so bad. It was like 300 people paid. They had a couple of Memphis legends on the show, and we went out there. Before the show even happened, I'm nervous. I'm shaking, and I'm like, dude, this is like 300 people. I never wrestled in front of that. It's like 30 people was scared of me when I had that Bahia show. 300 is insane. And I'm freaking out. Because we have certain things that we wanted to do in the match, try to get the crowd involved and stuff like that. As soon as our music hit to go out there to walk out there, everything just like went blank. So now have stage fright. I have stage fright, and I'm going into the this match, and I was just like in tunnel vision with the guys I was in the ring with, and during the middle of the match, I went to my brother, and I'm walking him to the like the corner of the turn post, and I went and his exact words is, "I don't know what the f I'm doing," and and he laughed at me, and as he was laughing at me, I was giving him chops, and yeah, it was really bad, a very very bad match. Uh, And yeah, we wasn't ready. So the next show we had, it was a couple months later. They put us in our element of hardcore stuff, and they went a little bit better because we usually know the weapons, whatever, to get the crowd to react, whatever. But it was a lot better because we definitely put in a lot of more work within a month time frame. We just started, hanging out together, us three of us, me, my brother, and a friend of ours, and we gotten better on the spot stuff, but it was still awful. But it wasn't as bad on the first show. And then and then we progressed. Sergeant Raleigh, he was the guy that took under his wing. So every show he was on, he was putting us on the show, just get better at things and help people guide us and get the experience. And it was they took off ever since.
going going back a little bit, you mentioned in this day and age, a lot of people in our age range, there's a lot of wrestlers that will tell you that they were backyard wrestlers. That's just something that people our age did when if you were a wrestling fan. And some people like yourself made a career out of it, and some people like me decided that wrestling maybe wasn't for them. But to kind of taper off that, what do you think was the biggest shock from going from the backyard wrestling to actual training? What was that like? What was the biggest shock or the biggest come to Jesus sort of thing for you whenever you did that? And subsequently, what is the one thing that you maybe changed your perception on wrestling from
Uh,
wrestling in the backyard to actually being trained?
Wrestling is theatrics. With us, if we had like a we everything we made was legit real. So we find barbed wire like on a trail, and we'll take the barbed wire and snip it and wrap it around like a chair or a bat, and the prongs are still there, and we're hitting each other, semi full force. So there's a thing called hard way.
Right.
Which is basically if you get hit for real, if you get busted open, yeah, hey, that's it. You didn't have to, it happens, With actual wrestling, uh, everything is pretty much you're working with you have a partner. You just work together, and the ground is a lot harder than the wrestling mat of a ring, depending on the ring, though. Uh, So once we felt the ring, so to speak, basically it was like a pillow compared to what we did over the years on the ground, and that was a big shock. Uh, and there's some things can be pulled and some things cannot be pulled, and we learned throughout the thing. And plus, training was a lot harder than it was in the backyard because you're hitting the ropes constantly, you're falling down constantly, and you're getting back up. If you don't do it right, you got to do it again. It was actual like a mind fuck, I guess you say,
Right.
and it hurt the first day of legit, not say training, but the guys that bumped us, all the high impact bumps that we took that day of the first show. The next day, my neck, my back, my body was just hurting because it puts a lot of damage to you. And like in the backyard, we just do a few high spots, and it's mainly just we're going through a table, we're going through something that can kind of break our fall. It won't be as hard on our body, and then but in the ring, every fall you take, you're gonna end up feeling it the next day, especially if you do it repeatedly, and these drills and these things that you do, and the ropes hurt if you hit them hard enough, like you're supposed to. They leave rope burns, rope welts, and you can feel it the next day. And yeah, that's this big shocker for me, for a sec, because like I said, those drills, they're there to teach you, but it hurts. Wrestling is wrestling's real.
So, you mentioned your start. You mentioned, the people that helped you along the way. Now you have this a very interesting gimmick. Um, Really, something that really done well. For being. I mean, I don't mean this in a rude way, but like you see a lot of people try this gimmick out on the independents and it doesn't work, but you're pulling it off and pulling it off very well. Was that the first gimmick you ever had on the independents, or was this something that morphed into what you are now? Take me through that whole process of coming up with this and what led you to your current character.
Yeah, sure. So in my wrestling tenure, because I've been wrestling going on 13 years, and majority of that has been used by a backyard name I used. And I just kept it with me, paying homage to where I came from. And it was like, my name was Suicide. Very generic. There's a lot of other companies that use it now. So I had to break away from that so to speak name, and I didn't recently do that till like 2015, 2016. There's a buddy of mine. He's a wrestler around the Memphis area, Danny Dollar, and Bert Prentice. He had a wrestling promotion around Tennessee. It's USA Wrestling. They do
Yes,
it out Jackson, Tennessee, in that area.
we
Well,
used to get them in syndication over here in Southern Illinois area, Southern Illinois, St. Louis
okay,
area. Yeah, so I'm aware of USA Championship Wrestling.
okay, yeah. So, well, my buddy Danny, he got me booked on the show. Well, let me take that. Let me rewind that real quick. Sergeant Raleigh had a UCW Union City Wrestling thing. He's a booker, and after a while, bookers they kind of get, I guess it was where they get overwhelmed with booking and creative. They just get, a brain fart at times, and it started getting stagnant and stale. And I was working the same people over and over again each and every week, and I got bored with it. So I've been wanting to, I guess, be more creative in my character, and I'm a big fan of Ghost.
Okay.
The and
Yes.
their music is okay if you can get into it, but if you ever seen them live, it's all theatrics. The whole gimmick is yeah, great. So I started basing that on that. So I started doing face paint and stuff, just get myself more, I guess, rejuvenated and doing this because I got burned out very quick. Because if I wrestle somebody at least 3 or 4 times in a program, I want to blow off and go to the next guy or something else. Just give me someone else new so we can like create magic, not the same guy for a year. And that's how it was. And every big show that they have a blow off on, I will start dressing up like characters. And and one little thing they had, the blow off match, I dressed up as the guy from Ghost, the lead singer. Painted my face and got the Pope gimmick and everything else. But I was a lot heavier, a lot chunkier, and I looked like a little Pain from Little Trouble in China. In Chinatown, so yeah, I was like a little Pain instead of the Ghost lead singer. So yeah, that was fun. But it just progressed. We had two valets, and they were very into the Halloween horror stuff, and they'll paint their face, and they will use special effects and everything, and it kind of made our persona a little creepy, and give them props to for me to even try it out too, because I thought it was pretty cool at the time. And I was watching Saul. I don't know if you're a big fan of Saul.
Yes, I've seen the movies.
Yeah, so the Jigsaw guy, well, they had like a pig mask, and kidnapped the guys and girls, and they're in this game of Saul, and I was like, huh. So I was, my brain is always hyperactive, creating things in my head. Some are good, some are bad. So I'm over late night googling things and trying to buy stuff for my wrestling character persona, and I end up finding a mask that cause I always want to wear a mask in wrestling because everybody does the shorts, the tights. I'm a wrestler. I'm a shooting wrestler. I'm this and that. I want to stand out, And Roddy Piper, he passed away around that time. I was trying to transition into a different, persona, building up my character. And it's like, I want to pay homage to this guy, and there's not a lot of people in my areas wearing a kilt.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I want
I
to
was
use a
going to ask
kilt.
you where the kilt came from because I know on all the match I'm like, okay, wearing a kilt. I wonder what was the inspiration behind that. So you
Yeah,
answered
yeah,
my next
Piper.
question. Awesome.
Yeah. Piper was the man on the mic. So good. And my favorite Mike spill he put is when he busted a beer ball over his head and he's cutting Mike spill and he's knocking his face from the blood shooting down his face. Yeah, awesome promo.
Awesome.
Uh, yeah, so he wore a kilt to the ring, but he took it off. He wrestled, but I was like, man, this guy passed away. I love his work. So I was like, I'm gonna wear a kilt. No one else does it around here, and something just to stand out because a lot of people have the generic, rock and roll or the generic hip hop. No one, uses different music just to stand out. So now I'm trying to stand out from the pack of everybody. So I did the whole kilt thing, and then I started getting like a pig mask. Yeah, it came from Saul, and I was like, man, I need something to stand out. And so a pig mask kilt was the beginning of the Otis Crowley thing, but I still was named Suicide. And then the Danny Dollar, he hooked me up with the USA Wrestling with Burt Prentice, and he's like, hey man, Burt is kind of in relations with TNA. Suicide is already on TV. We might need to change your name. You have an idea what you want to use? So the night before the actual booking, I was watching Devil's Rejects,
Okay.
and I'm a big fan of Bill Moseley, and he's an actor. He played a lot of in the horror movies, and the one he played in with Rob Zombie's film was Otis Driftwood.
Okay.
And I love his monologue in the movie. I loved his character, how he presented himself on the big screen. And I was like, huh, Otis, that's different. No one uses it a lot. I'm gonna use that. And then
And
on
then
the
someone
way,
in the WWE steals Otis from
yeah,
you.
yeah, I had Otis for a while before Otis, yeah, on TV got it. So yeah, so at the time, I was like, fuck, Otis Driftwood. I was like, I can't use Driftwood because I want to steal the whole gimmick of what Rob Zombie created. So I was going to Danny Dollar's house and Black Sabbath came on
Nice.
because
I
we have a,
was going to ask you if this was the inspiration, but go on. I apologize for interrupting.
it's okay. Yeah. So Black Sabbath came on as I was going up to my friend's Danny's house, and all of a sudden I just heard the organs playing, and it's like Mr. Crowley. Yeah, it's like, and I started throwing out like Otis Crowley. Hell yeah, that fucking it has a ring to it, and because I am not a religious person, so to speak.
Right.
Like I said, and if you believe in certain beliefs and faiths, that's great. I'm not going to judge you. But everybody has their own thing. So I'm like, I'm going to use this as an evil character, a very evil character. And Otis Crowley, it fucking fits. And
Right.
so we were throwing out names and stuff in his living room before we went to the TV taping. It's like, hey man, you got an idea what you want to change your name to possibly? It's like, yeah, I want to use Otis. Like, oh, Otis, that's strange. Like, yeah, I want to use Otis Crowley. So on the way up, it's like an hour long drive from his house. Like, and we're both saying it to each other. Like, you make him do his ring, Otis Crowley. Like, man, there's a ring to it. Like, yeah, I like it. Fuck, I'm gonna use it. So we met Bert. He's like,
And
here's
what is
Otis.
Bert like? Because I mean, I know he's kind of at least kind of here in the Midwest and Southern region, a lot of people hold Burt Prentice in very, very high standard. What was Burt like for you?
Bert is like the Vince McMahon of Tennessee wrestling, I guess you say. He has that aura around him, and he will quick to tell you if he likes you or you don't. And I was in my kilt. I had a leather, not leather jacket, but I had a vest on, uh, a denim vest that I had made up, whatever, and stuff like that. And he's like, "Huh, Otis Crowley, I like your look. I like it a lot. I want to see more of you. You'll be here, next week." It's like, yeah, sure. It's like, I like to see how you work, kid. It's like, sure. So yeah, I had some TV tapings with Bert. It was definitely a great experience. He is intimidating, but he always did me very well. There's other stories that people have, some good, some bad, some I can't really say on this podcast.
Right, right.
Yeah, so but overall, the experience with him, working with him was really good, really well. Uh, so yeah, I got introduced as Otis Crowley on USA Wrestling, Championship Wrestling, and I just took the ball and ran with it with them, and I started just progressing through USA to Cape and whatnot. I did find out there's a couple guys that kind of did a similar horror gimmicks in the area that I didn't know that we were doing the same kind of gimmick, I guess you say. So I had to hit them up because I didn't want to have no heat or anything of that nature because I'm the guy that likes to venture out and get my name out, and I hit them up. I don't know if you know heard of the Koger brothers.
I've heard of them. I can't. If they hear this, I apologize, but I haven't seen
Yeah,
their
yeah.
work.
Yeah, I hit them up and was like, hey man, I think we're getting the same kind of mask getting mixed because I went from a pig mask to actual human flesh silicone mask, and it started progressing my character. And a couple people threw out their names in the locker rooms, like, oh yeah, you and XYZ, or these guys, y'all have those kind of similarities here. And I looked them up. It's like, oh wow, we are kind of similar. So, but I'm more of a country hick, heels have eyes, type of persona, and they're more of like of a street grungy gritty to it. So I contacted them, and they were cool with it and all, but they like, hey, we need to try to find a medium here, especially if we're going to like actually work a show together. It's like, yeah, you're right. So I hit up a guy named William Rockwell. I don't know if you've heard of his name, Rockwell Mass. He's a big mass creator and stuff like that. He does a lot of stuff for WWE and TNA.
Was he the
Uh,
one that did the Fiend mask? Because I know he's kind of
he,
from the area. The guy that did the Fiend mask.
I think the one guy that did females was Tom Billy. Not
Okay.
sure. I could be wrong on that guy, but he did a Ali the I've seen his what you call it, his hand that glows.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, he done that, and he done a lot of other superstars, especially at AEW. The massive you pretty much see on AEW right now. He does a lot of work for them, and I hit him up like last December, and it's like, hey man, I'm doing this gimmick. I need a mask. I just want to wear one. Could you hook me up? He's like, yeah, sure, no problem. And my influence was pretty much Ed Gein, Leatherface, after from the Saul big mask. Me and my brother, we actually tagged during the time frame, but I was in the wrong, I guess, mindset of everything. I was bitter about the wrestling business per se, and it's like,
Right.
well, I need to start, reinventing myself. I'm gonna start, trying to try to basically re-establish who Otis Crowley was, because there was stuff that was going on in my personal life and with him because we started to bicker and disagree on things. So I was like, oh well, I'm gonna start to branch out and find out who Otis Crowley is. So I hit William Rockwell. He created a lot of things for me, and the first original mask is probably what you see with the dreads and the X on his forehead and whatnot. And I was like, hey man, can you create me a mask? Sure, no problem. And ever since then, I've been going back to him for every mask idea I have and an attire. And yeah, if it wasn't for him, I give the credit to him because a lot of promoters and bookers were seeing the image and the look, and if it wasn't for him creating the hyper focus activity that I have going on, it's like, hey, can you create this? Like, yeah, sure. And like within like 2 or 3 weeks, he's already shipping it to my house. And like, wow, that's super fast, super turnaround. And I'm taking gimmick photos, promo pictures, and yeah, promoters and bookers, they see it on social media, and they're interested. Like, oh wow, he has a unique look. Let me see if he can actually, you know, I guess back it up with his gimmick. And some people are impressed. Some people are impressed. Some people are like, eh, we need to see more. But overall, I give credit to Will Rockwell uh, with uh, with my look and
Okay.
the way I'm going. And Yeah, it's definitely a nice working relationship, especially around this pandemic, because a lot of people were like out of work from the independent scene,
Right.
and I'm considered an essential worker, I guess, at that time, and still am. And I was able to provide the local small business of him to help, I guess, stay afloat with this pandemic, because a lot of, like I said, a lot of independent wrestlers and a lot of wrestlers, they were, you know, quarantine. And I was like, this is the perfect time to get all the gear I want now because I'm making tons of money and I'm essential and I love to, yeah, spend money right now. So yeah, I
It's it.
invested a lot. I invested a lot in this character, and I think a lot of people are starting to see, and I'm getting more eyes on me now because I'm starting to branch out outside the Mid South area because I started to, because I went to a Tom Pritchard seminar. Uh,
Tell us about that. Tell us about Tom Pritchard.
Oh, Tom Pritchard, by far the best trainer I ever met in my life. Uh, he has a school out in Knoxville, Tennessee. There is a program that everybody can sign up for. If I had it, if I could take what I knew now, 13 years ago when I first started, I would definitely go to him for all the training stuff. He is so patient for every person and student that goes up there. And me being me, I've never been trained at whatsoever. Basically I've been helped on by by Brandon Bobwire or other talent in the locker room before or after the show. They'll give me advice and stuff. I've worked with John Gresham, the Ring of Honor guy.
Oh, what's he like? Because I know I've seen him. I've met him a couple times at some local shows, but I know he's very. I feel very underrated as a worker. What's your opinion of Jonathan Gresham?
He is probably the best all around wrestler, pure wrestler you can ever find in the United States. He knows his craft and he's willing to work and help anybody that's willing to listen and just and be there. Me and him, we worked when he was in his school with Mr. Hughes out in Georgia, and I was probably about 6 months in wrestling, and yeah, we went out there and we had a good match. And he was basically trying to teach me more chain holds because he's all about pure wrestling, and I'm more about the flashy, stuff to get over. And before, like after the match, it was more so getting a feel for each other because it was the first time working each other type deal. And afterwards, like we both came to agreements like, hey, you're really good. I got a show at CCW. We're going to take a carload of guys. You're more welcome to come with us. That's like, holy hell. I'm gonna, I could have made a break at that time, but wrestling wasn't paying bills, and I was catching rides to shows and stuff, so I kind of lost the opportunity. But yeah, as John Grisham, yeah, if anyone ever works with him or has a training with him, he is, yeah, great all around, and he's super, yeah, easy. Uh,
So, oh, go ahead, sir.
oh yeah, so yeah, the Tom Pritchard thing. We did a seminar, and I had bad habits over the years because I taught myself a lot of stuff on YouTube and just videotaping and fast forward, close rewind, everything else. And he only picked a few guys to do his drills because it was like middle summer, and he stinks them to camp, and basically he's sort of testy if you knew what you was doing, Because I think in the wrestling world, after 10 years or so, you should be a vet of the game. You should be on top of your level.
Right.
And because at that time I was like 12 years in wrestling, because it was like a year ago. And I told him how long I've been working and so forth. And we had Lou Thaster. If you ever heard of him.
I have not,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. So he's more of in the Carolinas, everything. He was a big guy, legend, and back in the day and stuff. So we did a lot of videotaping in the beginning of this seminar, and I already watched all the stuff he is showing to us. And it's like a class, so either I'm bored and going to sleep, or I am, daydreaming. I'm like, okay, I've seen this already. Yeah, great match, Chris Benoit and Real Leo. super great. Da da da. So forth, so forth. And so when it came to in ring stuff with Tom Pritchard, he told us to do this and this and that. What messed me up was a simple headlock takeover, and that's something you do on the basics. And he drilled me the whole time on his drills, like, "What are you doing? You're doing it wrong. Who told you? Who trained you?" I was like, "Nobody." Oh, I could see that, but he was in his working voice, because he can't be calm. Like, "Hey, man, you can't do that." No, he has to be, stand firm. He's like, "Hey, you ain't doing this right." And he drilled in me so much that every time I do a headlock takeover in a wrestling match, like, "Yeah, thanks, Tom. I got it now." And, whatever. So he's a very good trainer. Anybody is aspiring, you know, wrestler that want to be a wrestler, definitely hit up the Jacob Pritchard Academy, because Glenn Jacobs, he's a part owner of the academy, and they do very well. There's a couple guys that have now right now is working for the Nightmare Factory from it, and they're
Awesome.
getting There's a guy named Dylan McQueen. He did GCW not too long ago, and he was one of the Pritchard's graduates, and he's really good as well. He's yeah.
So,
So in the seminar, I networked it as well. I met Victoria Rain and the booker promoter of Zero One,
okay.
and that's how I got my way into Zero One. I
I was about
hit
ready
up.
to ask about how you got into Zero One and Cape Championship Wrestling. How you moved to Southeast Missouri and Central Illinois from Memphis.
Yeah, so in the beginning, the booker promoter. Well, I knew Jason. He's the booker of CCW, and around 2017. I was doing the Otis Crowley gimmick whatsoever. My brother, I hit him up and said, "Hey man, I changed my name from Suicide to Otis Crowley." And, he was kind of iffy on it. It's like, "Oh, why did you have your name changed for?" I told him the reason. He said, "Oh, okay, that's cool." And he's getting, like me, kind of burned out of wrestling because we've been in it for so long, and we've been to, like I said, we went from the curtain jerkers to the dark matches all the way to the main events, and we had these, championship titles that they had at these, shows and promotions, and had all these awards. So we've done it all, and we started to break away, start actually working guys that's been contracted, just showcase that we are really good. And it was a good thing that we were getting these opportunities, because, like I said, neither of us were trained. We were just like he showed, the small things. We kind of were already advanced in our time. And Jason, I hit up Jason one night. Beforehand, I was a very, very big in craft beer. I don't know if when you turn 30, you just gotta be a craft beer guy and have those little weird hats, and come to the midtown scene of your area and just like, "Hey, I want some of this craft beer." That was me. So yeah, I was drinking a lot of craft beers at a local pub, and me being me, the antisocial, anti-weird guy, whatever it is, I hit up a lot of promoters that I knew because of the relationship we had. Say, "Hey, I want to wrestle with you guys. Give me some dates." And I'm way too happy and drunk right now, right?
Right.
And they gave me a response that I didn't know they were going to give me, because I was just, being drunk me, trying to text, never do that. No drunk text, never do that. No, you get you in trouble. So I hit up Jason. Jason said, "Hey, we got this spot. I'm gonna work with you." My Jonathan, which is Jackson, he was doing an angle with I think Ace Hawkins at the time, Missouri
Another
area.
underrated talent. I am a fan of Ace Hawkins.
Yeah, so he's a good dude inside the ring and out. Yeah, I love him to death. They were doing a big angle and stuff, and in the middle of the angle, I introduced myself, and they were trying to figure out a way to pull me into the storyline and whatnot, and we did that, and it went very well. And then my brother broke his leg during the angle, so I had to be like the supporting guy to help keep the angle running and going. and it was cool. But around that time frame, I I didn't like the direction I was going in because I thought I
Right.
was, and I was like, let me take it some time off from Cape, whatever. Let me come back whenever I'm, healthy and mentally and stuff. And I came back. Me and my brother worked against each other. We did that stuff, and now we're back together as a tag team. And it's cool doing Cape stuff. I've done it so long that I don't know if you've ever been to a show and you know who's the fan favorite. Except I know in 01 is like the lowlifes. If you ever do 01 at all.
I haven't been seeing a Zero One show, but I've talked to a lot of Zero One talent, and I definitely would like to make
Yeah,
my way up there for a show.
yeah. So they're like, if you ever seen some talent in certain areas, you can tell which one's super over with the crowd just by the reaction they get or whatever and so forth. And I know in Cape Girardeau at CCW, the Crowleys are like, how do I put it? Like the John Cena's of wrestling. Like you hate them, but you love them. Or it's
I see
like,
what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or they love you, but they want to see someone else in that spot. They don't want to see you, another person in that spot, kind of type, sort of. Like so there's mixed emotions, but majority is like, hey, you're the baby face like Ricky Steamboat in the '80s, like they love you, and then yeah, it's not like us. We can walk on water up there, pretty much, so to speak. But for me as a performer, I get stagnant, especially when you're so over with the crowd that you need to like take some time away, take that candy away from the babies, and when you come back, you get a bigger, you know, huge reaction coming back to your hometown.
Right.
That's how I see it. So I'm pretty much in the area of where I want to branch out from Kate because Kate gave me a lot of opportunities. I worked with a Raven. Raven, he's my yeah, he's my guy because me and my brother worked each other. And I won't put this over. Raven, he reached out to me and my brother after that match because he was a part of it, and he was trying to hook me and my brother up to NWA, that in Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like, man, I love your guys' gimmick. It reminds me of the flock back in the day. I was like, you have so much potential and talent and so forth. And like a couple weeks later, he hit my brother up and said, hey, I got you guys a deal with NWA. Hopefully, Billy Corgan will like you. And we waited for a couple weeks, super ecstatic. It didn't work out, but he's like, man, you guys got so much together that I don't see you, be upset about it because I see you at a bigger platform, bigger stage. You're there. You just need to get the right eyes on you. And that pretty much lit like a fire up my ass right now because at first I was like that match my brother with Raven. I might say, hey, I'm gonna take some time off like indefinitely because I'm not my high to speak right now on the indies right now
Right.
from how I've been getting booked and stuff like that. And I worked a few guys that I've looked up to in wrestling. And I was like, man, I've been doing it for so long. I'm starting to wear out. What else can I do? Let me just, I'm at my highest point. I can't be doing this at 40, like most guys here,
Right.
burnt out, but never can give up the dream. And it's like, I think this is it for this year. And then Raven hit us up, and yeah, I just lit a big fire by ass. And ever since then, I've been networking and selling my soul to everything I can see, and hopefully get exposure and then get some eyes on me. And now me and my brother we're back together as a tag team, and we're on Championship Wrestling in Memphis because they're bringing back Memphis Wrestling,
Oh,
and
awesome.
they're like a syndicated thing with Hollywood and
Okay.
with Arizona,
Now,
and
do they have a do they have an internet presence? Because I do know there's a lot of people that might listen to this interview that maybe
yes,
don't live in the area, but they would like to watch the show. Does the Memphis Wrestling have a YouTube show or anything of that nature?
yes, every Saturday around noon it goes live on YouTube and I think on Facebook as well. It's like, I think they can subscribe to like Championship Wrestling, and it will have the stuff on there. And the guy that does the wrestling on there is they're part of Japan wrestling too. Like the I forgot what it's called, but it's like all Japan,
Okay.
US stuff. I'm not familiar with it because I know I was, super ecstatic to be a part of the Memphis thing. So they just, started to come back. But yeah, they're affiliated with a bunch of guys in that network. And if you want to see Memphis wrestling live and it's not in your area, definitely check out the Championship Wrestling on YouTube. And every Saturday around noon, it's like a whole hour of YouTube live, and it shows the live actual episode for that weekend. And we're a part of that, and I think our actual legit match is next Saturday on premiere on TV,
Okay.
and
Awesome.
yeah, and I think we have a small part on this coming up Saturday episode as well.
So this will probably, by the
Uh,
time this drops, this will already be aired. So definitely go back and check them out if you haven't seen it.
yeah. With the Memphis thing, I think what we're doing now, especially with the exposure we're getting, I think it's gonna be really good. I see some big things happen for me and my brother, because we're as a whole, it's a whole aura of like who are these guys together. And I've been doing my singles run, trying to get my name out in Illinois and the St. Louis area and stuff like that. Because right now, Midwest, all the talent they have there is super talented. You got the Mike Outlaws, you got the Camaros, you got the
Mike Outlaw.
Premier.
I'm a big Mike Outlaw fan.
I love Mike Outlaw. Me and him, we went to a seminar together, and the
Awesome.
first lockup I had with him was like, oh my God, this is money. I can feel the chemistry through him. He is super hard worker and a super underrated guy. I see so much potential of him going to a bigger platform. He's there. He's money. I love him to death. And I mean, there's so many other guys that is in that area that's so well trained and so well educated on everything they do in the ring. And I love to just experience that, because I think my Memphis style psychology, telling a story, wrestling story, mixed with their new school, because St. Louis wrestling is totally different from Memphis wrestling.
Right.
And if we can clash those together, I think it'll be a nice 5-star match. It depends
Right.
on the guys you're in the ring with. And yeah, it's all like I said. I think
And
my
it,
heart and soul is in Midwest right now.
and even better, I'd get to see you more often if you were in St. Louis
I
on
am.
the regular.
I Yeah. I'm definitely trying to work my way up, because I've noticed that you gotta know somebody to be a part of some of those things. So I'm definitely trying to network and get some buddy system going on in that. So
Um, Real quick, because you mentioned you did some stuff with Raven. Just for the people listening, what better way to end this interview on? Tell us about Raven.
Raven is probably the smartest man when it comes to psychology. He sees things that I haven't seen, and he pointed out, like small critiques that we could do better and whatnot. And like some things that he throws out ideas, go with it. If you run with it, it's like a trial and error thing. And it's all ears with him. It's like, hey, can you do this? How would you go about doing that? Like, since he heard, a couple of things that we wanted to go over, and he'll throw his, 2 cents in, and he's like, that's a great idea, and we'll go for it. But overall, like Raven, he's very I say judgy, but some of these stars, they have this guard up,
Right.
because you come to a local indie show. Some of these guys have not been trained. They think they are better than everybody, so to speak. And with him, he was standoffish. He's kept to himself and whatnot. And he spoke here and there, trying to make conversation. But until after the match, so actually seeing you work, he's like, okay, you guys know a little bit of something here. I'm going to talk more to you. And he opened up more. And yeah, Raven is great. Like I said, mouth shut, eyes open, ears open. And he is great on psychology, especially with character development and everything else in between. I learned a lot within the short time I had with him on that show. And till this day, I'll send him a random text and show him, the new promo pictures of me and whatnot, and say, "Hey, man, how's everything going? Look, here's Otis Crowley, and XYZ," and he's always giving me support. And
Awesome.
yeah, he's a big fan of the Crowleys, me and my brother Jackson Crowley, and he's hoping for the best for us. And like I said, I am definitely a Raven guy after all this. Yeah.
Glad. It's really good to hear because I'm a Raven fan, and it's just that's awesome.
Oh, he was so good in ACW during the days of Tommy Dreamer
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
Oh my God,
my first
those.
exposure to him was WCW, but whenever I went back and saw the ECW stuff, it's just like, yeah, that's yeah.
Oh yeah, his promo work. Oh yeah, he can definitely tell stories through his promo, and I'm always listening. Like, whoa, what's next? What's next? Yeah, super good.
Um, yeah, there's not enough. Not enough. We could probably do a whole nother episode just talking about Raven, but I really appreciate you coming on. You had a really interesting story. I was here hoping that because I'd only seen just a little bit of your work, I was hoping we could fill 30 minutes, and definitely we definitely accomplished that goal, and I appreciate the hard work you've put in. I wish you the best. I hope I can see you in Cape or St. Louis sometime soon. Thank you in person. But if there's anything you'd
Yeah.
like to promote to say to your current fans, or if there's somebody that might come across this that hasn't seen Otis Crowley before, or if something you'd like to you know point a new fan in the direction of, this time is yours right now. Hello. Well, this is fun. The awkward silence skins.
God, man, I lost connection. I don't know. Oh
It's
my
all good.
God.
That's all going to be part of the interview too. It's like this weird silence in the ring, and like, oh, what happened? So it's
Okay. All
live to
right.
tape is awesome, but again, the time is yours to promote.
Okay. Okay. Technical difficulties. All right. Stand by. All right. Yeah, you can check out the pro wrestling tees .com / Otis Crowley. ProWrestlingTees.com / The Crowleys. Me and my brother, we have a tag team going on. Definitely check us out at Championship Wrestling on YouTube. We're on that. You can check out my Otis Crowley. I'm on Facebook. Add me, hang out with me, talk to me. It's cool. Yeah, I definitely will have a conversation with you guys. Definitely check out this man's podcast
Awesome. Thanks so much.
because I had a great time with him. Hopefully, I will be in Cape. That's a secret. I will be in Cape coming March. So hopefully I
Awesome.
can see you there, possibly, maybe.
Oh, we'll definitely try. I always like to make time for these independent shows, especially the ones whose wrestlers have given back to me in such a great way. So,
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
So time out on me, plugging stuff. Where do you normally go to on these independent shows?
I do. I live in Southern Illinois. I go to Stride Pro Wrestling's a big one. I go to when they run shows, Glory Pro, St. Louis Anarchy, WrestleMax STO, which just started, and I've been to one Cape show. And I'm hoping to make more time for Cape.
Okay, yeah. So maybe the ones that you just stated on the air. I mean, maybe we can hang out on one of these shows because I'm definitely trying to network and get my foot in the door in these places.
Well, I will definitely for what little amount of pull that I might think I have, which is really no pull at all. I'll definitely throw your name out there to some of these other promotions, and I hope to see you around. I think I really was really intrigued by when you were on Caleb's podcast recently, Foreside's podcast. He kind of pointed me in your direction, and I was really intrigued just by the interview. So I was really happy to have this conversation, learn more about everything you did, and I wish you the best. And I really really hope that we can just see you more around here.
Yeah, of course, man. Like I said, I'm not a craft beer guy anymore, but if you want to, but if you have a nice craft beer, maybe we can all, sit some time and hang out and enjoy a drink or two and enjoy life.
That
Yeah.
does sound good. I'm trying to lay off the craft beers, but I will find a craft beer for this particular instance. But don't drunk
Yes.
text. But don't drunk
Yes.
text.
No, no, never, never, never.
Well, thank you to Otis Crowley. Thank you to everyone for taking a listen, even with the awkward silence that we just had to endure. Follow Otis Crowley. Check out his work. Check out his promos. Check out his YouTube. And also check out me on social media, facebook.com/athleticgeek9, Twitter athletic_geek9, Instagram athleticgeek9. If you would like to help grow this channel financially, I am on Patreon. Hit me up on patreon.com/athleticgeek9. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe. I got content not just from the world of pro wrestling, but from the world of comic books, gaming, anime, and all things geek culture. Definitely check out Otis Crowley. Great guy. Very, very talented wrestler. And we'll see you all next time.